Moving to the next. So now what she would do if she has no jewels to go to that party? He replied, you can wear some natural flowers. In this season, they look very chic, very fashionable. Nowadays, people used to wear flower jewelry. So she was not convinced. She was not satisfied. No, she replied, there is nothing more humiliating than to have a shabby air in the midst of rich women. It is very disgusting. There will be all rich ladies adorned with beautiful jewelry, costly jewelry, and I have nothing to wear except the fresh flowers. Then her husband cried out, how stupid we are. Go and find your friend, Ma'am Frostier, and ask her to lend you her jewelry. I can give you the reminder you have a rich friend, Madam Frostier. Go to her and get some jewelry for you. She uttered a cry of joy. She was also happy. It is true, she said. I had not thought of that. I simply forgot about that. The next day, she took herself to her friend's house. She went there and related her the story of distress. Ma'am Foster went to her closet, to the almirah, and took out a large jewel case, brought it, opened it, and said, choose, my dear. Whatever you want to take it. She saw at first some bracelets, and then the color of the pearls, and then a Venetian cross, the gold and jewels of admirable workmanship. She tried the jewels before the glass. She tried everything, wearing on the body and then going in front of the glass and checking, hesitated, but could neither decide to take them nor leave them. She was not in a position to take all these things, and she doesn't want to even leave these things. Then she asked, how you nothing more? Have you nothing more? Why, yes, look for yourself. I don't know what will please you, how you will be satisfied. Suddenly, she discovered in a black satin box a superb necklace of diamonds. Her hands trembled because she thought it's very costly. As she took it out, she placed it about her throat against her dress and was ecstatic. She was highly delighted, very happy. Then she asked in a hesitating voice, full of anxiety, could you lend me this? Can I take away this jewelry? Only this one? Why? Yes, certainly. Why not? Take whatever you want to take for you. She fell upon the neck of her friend, embraced her and passion, and then went away with her treasure. Took that diamond necklace and went home. The day of the ball arrived. It was the day on which the party was arranged. Ma'am Lazel was a great success. Success here refers to she was the center of attraction where she was. She was the prettiest. She was looking the most beautiful at all, elegant, gracious, smiling, and full of joy. All the men noticed her. Everybody in the party noticed her, asked her name, yet wanted and be persistent, presented. Everybody there was ready to talk to her. She danced with enthusiasm, intoxicated. She was captivated with pleasure, thinking of nothing but all this admiration, this victory of complete and sweet to her heart. She was very happy in her heart that she was a great success. Then the party, she went home towards 4 o'clock in the morning. It was late in the early morning. In the late night, she went home with her husband. Her husband had been half asleep in one of the little saloons since midnight with three other gentlemen whose wives were enjoying themselves very much. So they were enjoying, but after some time, it was time to go home. He threw around her shoulders the most wraps they had carried, whose poverty clashed with the elegance to the ball of the ball costume. She was having a very poor quality wrap, you can say, like a shawl. She covered herself with that. She wished to hurry away in order not to be noticed by the other women who were wrapping themselves in rich furs. Those who were wrapping themselves in great shawls, fur shawls, and all that. So Loisel detained her. Wait, said he, I was going to call a cab. Her husband said, "You just wait over here. I am going to call a taxi." But she would not listen and descended the steps rapidly. When they were in the street, they found no carriage. Now they were out in the street, they were not able to get any conveyance, and they began to seek for one. They were just here and there searching for one, hailing the coachmen whom they saw at the distance, calling them and shouting, but nobody stopped to give them the chance to reach at home. They walked along towards the river, hopeless and shivering. It was the winter season. In the morning, finally, they found one of those old carriages that one sees in Paris after nightfall. It took them as far as their door. The taxi dropped them at the door, and they went wearily up to their apartment. It was all over for her. The party was over, and on his part, he remembered that he would have to be at the office by 10 o'clock. Everything was normal now, and he thought that he is to reach the office at 10 o'clock. She removed the wraps from her shoulder before the glass. She was standing in front of the mirror when she removed the wrap from the shoulder for a final view of herself in his glory. For the last time, she wants to see herself in the mirror. Suddenly, she uttered a cry. Her necklace was not around her neck. What happened? She lost the necklace somewhere. Now, this was the property of her friend. How to return it now to her friend? Liesel, already half undressed, husband was also changing, asked what is the matter. She turned towards him excitedly. I have no longer have my Foster's necklace. He aroused in dismay. What? How is that? It's not possible. And they looked in the folds of the dress. Maybe it has fallen from the neck somewhere in the dress, in folds of the cloak, the frock, and the dress, and all that, in the pocket somewhere. Everywhere they searched, they could not find it. He asked, "You are sure you still had it when we left Mr. house? Do you still remember the last time you saw it in on your neck? What was that time, or the time we left the house of the party? Was it there?" "Yes, I felt it as we came out. But if you had lost it in the street, we should have heard it. For if it fell in the street, then we must have heard the sound. We should have heard it fall, and it must be in the cab. So that means we didn't hear it, and you saw it the last when we were at the minister's house. Then we lost it in the cab. Yes, it is possible. Did you take the number?" she asked. But the husband said, "No." "And you? Did you notice what it was?" She also said, "No." They looked at each other utterly cast down. They were so much feeling low. Finally, Lazel dressed himself again. He again won his dress. "I'm going," he said, "over the track where we went on foot, where we were walking on foot, and now to see if I can find it." And he went. She remained in her evening gown, not having the force to go to bed. He was not having the strength even to go to the bed. Towards 7 o'clock, her husband returned. He spent almost 2.5 hours searching for the necklace here and there. He came back at 7 o'clock. He had found nothing. He went to the police and to the cab offices and put an advertisement in the newspaper offering a reward. All this he had already done. She waited all day in the state of bafflement, confusion before the frightful disaster. Loisel returned in the evening, his face pale. He was again tense. He had discovered nothing, could not find any response anywhere. He said, "Write to your friend that you have broken the clasp, the link of the necklace." You just told her friend that the link of that necklace is broken and that you will have it repaired, and that will give us time. So it will give us time to search for it. Just ask your friend that it is broken from somewhere and I have given it for the repairs. She wrote as he dictated. At the end of a week, they had lost all hope. 7 days have gone. They couldn't find any response from anywhere, and Loisel's older by 5 years. In 7 days, he looked as if he was 5 years older. Declared, "We must replace this jewel. Now we should get a new one exactly the same, and give it to Mrs. Foster in the shop of the palace royals, they found cap- a, a caplet of a necklace of diamonds which seems to them exactly like the one they had lost. It was valued at 40,000 francs. When they came to know the value amount of that necklace, it was 40,000 francs. They could get it for 36,000. There can be, you can say, deduction of 4,000. Loisel possessed 18,000 francs because his father gave him 18,000 francs from the property, so which his father had left him. He borrowed the rest. 18,000 they borrowed, next 18,000 from somewhere, from the race of landers, those who are the money lenders, and then he went to get the new necklace, depositing on the merchant's counter 36,000 francs. Gave 36,000, got that necklace. When Ma'am Loisel took back the jewels to Mrs. Frostier, the latter said to her in a phrased tone, "You should have returned them to me sooner. You must have given it back to me soon, for I might have needed them. Maybe I also need to wear this to go to a party sometime, so you must give it back to me at proper time. Early, you must give it back to me."